Listener discretion is advised.
Yes. Thanks for having my back.
All right. You are listening to Wine and Crime, the podcast where three friends chug wine, chat true crime, and unleash their worst Minnesotan accents.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
You now know that everything you do is going to be turned into a GIF.
I know. My face doesn't stand a chance.
You're going to become a meme.
Like a real
viral
one.
No.
Oh, my God. I'm Kenyon.
I'm Lucy. Ugh.
I'm Amanda.
I got a fat cat on my lap.
Look.
Nice. I got a
Pepperoni
rash.
jumped into my lap today. Ooh, show us your rash.
So for our Patreon folks who get to see this video, you also get
Diagnose this rash.
to please
Please diagnose a rash.
What's this rash?
please.
We're holding a contest where any patrons at any level can guess Kenyon's rash. And if you successfully diagnose her rash,
But
I don't know,
only
you'll
if you're
get
a
a
medical
free sticker
professional.
set or something.
It doesn't itch and it doesn't hurt. The skin is very dry. It looks like I had a ligature strangulation. I swear I swear I did not. I have no earthly idea what it's from. So
It's
yeah,
bizarre.
please get at me.
First person to correctly diagnose Kenyon's rash gets a free sticker set.
Yeah. Okay.
But actually-
literally. Yeah. We'll do that for real.
What if it just goes away on its own? There is no winner.
Well, whatever. Head on over to Patreon quick then.
I might go to the dermatologist just to see.
No,
who
you have to
wins.
wait. You have to risk your health
can
and
know.
wait. That's true. You can know. You're right. All right. No,
I'm
it
not
still
gonna guess.
applies.
I have a sticker set.
Ah,
I have a sticker set.
I don't need to guess. I
Anyway,
have a
so
sticker set.
So that's our show.
This week on Guess Kenyon's Rash. Oh, got my glasses.
Tune in next week for Amanda's weird bumps on
Fungus.
her armpits.
You guys. Oh, that is a saga. Don't even get me started. Oh,
All right.
y'all.
Let's move on.
This is
So
what happens when we don't record for like 3 days.
Yeah, that we have to get out all of our sillies first.
We haven't talked properly in 3 days, and so we're getting all caught up. And we're starting an hour late because we also got caught up before pressing record to spare all of you.
With gossip that shouldn't be shared widely.
From elementary school acquaintances.
Yep. So, very important stuff.
All right.
Pertinent to all of your interests.
This week we have a very special fan pick brought to you by Courtney Roy. Blortney.
Blortney Bloy.
Bloy.
Not our Blortney, but a different Blortney. And they have selected the topic of groupie crimes.
Yeah.
Grouper crimes.
yeah, exactly. I only did fish. I hope that's okay.
I misunderstood the assignment.
Big mouth Billy Bass crimes.
No, I interpreted groupie crimes as like classic
Oh, yeah.
groupies, like musicians,
Like almost famous.
yeah, exactly that.
Nail
Not
on the
like-
head.
The movie, not the condition.
Right. Not the like people who become groupies of like serial killers or like Charles Manson or whatever. Those are kind of a different type of groupie,
Yeah, that's
which
a different
we will
breed.
probably get to at some point.
Not today.
Probably.
Not today. All right. Well, what is our wine crime pairing for groupie crimes?
Well, I thought that maybe a good pairing would be a wine from Winc Wine Club. And the one I
are you
chose
pausing so
is the Loves Me Not white blend.
Yeah.
Because, you know, in the groupie world, sometimes you're loved. Oftentimes, they love you not.
Yeah. Sometimes
stage
it's
5
just
clinger.
lust.
Yeah. Well,
Not always
yeah.
reciprocated.
It's not. It's often not reciprocated. So I guess cautionary tale. If you're like following good Charlotte around the world,
At Warp Tour in middle school with your braces.
maybe just assume that just because those lyrics really spoke to you and you love Benji, that does
doesn't,
not
though?
mean that that individual will love you back.
I love a man in eyelainer.
I do too.
Yeah, it's true. Men
Also-
look great in eyeliner.
Men do
Khal
look great in
Drogo.
eyeliner. Oh. Khal Drogo was the inspo for my tattooed eyeliner.
Oh, God bless.
Not true. It could be. No. But if you say it confidently enough, Kenyon will believe it.
Oh my God,
And
really?
for those, oh my God, really? For those of you who are not familiar with Winc, it is an incredible online wine club that delivers wine to your door. And they have a really, really fun special going on right now for Wine and Crime listeners, where if you use the code Wine and Crime Special, because it's a special for Wine and Crime listeners, so it's Wine and Crime Special, you can get 4 bottles of Winc wine for $29.95 and free shipping.
That's such an amazing deal.
Still blows my mind.
Yeah, so get her while she's hot. You can go to trywinc.com/wine and crime special and grab 4 bottles for $29.95.
Just do it. Treat yourself. It's summer, baby.
You should treat yourself. And this is a perfect summer white blend. This is a floral, aromatic wine. It's just right for warm weather. It's something you could take on a picnic because you do not need
A corkscrew.
a wine key to open it. She's a cracker. It has like a very light, subtle sweetness. It's really nice and fragrant, but it finishes beautiful and dry. It's got that nice acidity. It goes like really well with spicy food because that acidity just like cleans off your tongue. So if you're eating like a really hot like green curry, then you can take a sip of this and it's gonna like cleanse between each bite. It works better than milk, let me tell you. Yeah,
And it's
so
more
good.
fun.
It is more fun. She clocks in at 12.7% ABV. She's fruit forward with a nice earthy balance. And like I said, you're going to get notes of citrus. You're going to get floral notes, white peach. I mean, come on. What could go
This
wrong?
bottle is a perennial favorite of mine.
She is. And she features maybe some perennial flowers. Roses are perennial, right? Yeah, they come back.
Isn't
I
that
don't
the
know.
opposite?
That's the opposite.
I
But
thought annuals are ones that bloom just like once a year and perennials like continue to return.
no,
It's the other
way around.
Annuals come every year. They grow back. Perennials you have to plant each year per annual. Perennial.
Correct. But as an adjective,
I was led astray.
perennial can mean recurring year after year. It's very confusing.
Yeah.
In the,
The
flower
plants-
world,
In the flower world, Lucy is correct, although Amanda should be correct.
yes.
Yeah, that's so
It's kind of how
weird.
bi-weekly can mean twice a week or
Yeah, it says
every other
perennials
week.
that grow and bloom over the spring and summer, die back every autumn and winter, and return in the spring. That's why I selected perennials
Die.
intentionally.
No, they die, so you have to replant them.
No, it says die back in the autumn and winter and return in the spring. Because, like, hostas are perennials. They, like, regrow each year. I'm telling you, I just looked this up. Perennial
Oh,
plant.
wait, I was so confident, but now I'm shook.
Oh, we're wrong.
Lives more than 2 years. I knew it. I just planted a perennial garden and I fucking knew it.
You're
I
right.
knew it.
I was so confident, and I was wrong.
Wow,
good
that
thing-
felt good.
I only have container plants.
Ooh, is this what it feels like?
Yeah. Doesn't it feel
Pretty
good?
great.
What a rush.
Yeah.
Ooh,
All right.
I smell it.
But I am right
smell
about
the
the bi-
correctness.
I am right about the bi-weekly thing.
Sure, okay. Yeah.
And
All right.
flammable and inflammable.
Great. No one asked about those things. Here we go. Oh, I cracked it. I cracked prematurely because I was so excited about being right. Cheers to me. Nice crack.
Amanda's having a great day.
It's the best day of my life. It's the
Oh my
best day of my
God. You
life.
should see her pouring. It's all over the place.
Woo! Jeez, your ponytail.
Oh my God, the adrenaline.
Your
My glasses just, I swung my ponytail and my glasses flew off.
That's gonna be the next gif. Are you fucking kidding me? You look like an insane person.
Long hair is only for responsible people. I was
I don't know
not
why you have it.
cut out for this.
Your glasses flew off of your face.
I know, because they're
What do
not
you
secure when I have my
Helicoptered your ponytail.
they're not secure when I have my headphones on. Because I have to like lift them up or they pinch. Listen, get to your cheers. Get to your segment. God.
Cheers. So, Lucy. What is this is so dumb.
Holy
What is our
shit.
background in psych for Groupie Crimes?
Oh my god, okay. Oh, I forgot my bones. There's no psych.
Shake it. My
So
lungs
let's start.
hurt.
Oh god. We'll start with the definition from my side piece, Merriam-Webster. Because my main bitch, Britannica, did not have...
Left something to be desired this month,
Didn't
this
have-
week.
You should have a boy and a girl, and they should be Miriam and Webster. But Miriam, like, Miriam.
Miriam.
Love. Miriam.
Or just like my next two cats are Merriam and Webster.
Oh, that's
That's
a
a
really
way
good
easier than two
idea.
children.
I don't think I'd want to burden a child in this day and age with the first name Webster.
I mean,
Animals have shorter lifespans.
you're
than
already
kids.
burdening them with life. Why not give them some grit?
Yeah. When you're right, you're right.
You're welcome.
A groupie is defined as 1, a fan of a rock group who usually follows the group around on concert tours, or 2, an admirer of a celebrity who attends as many of their public appearances as possible. It can also be used to mean a selfie photograph with a group of people. So instead of like just
Oh.
one's self, when you take
E?
a group selfie, it's called a groupie.
I hate that.
I do
Yeah.
too. I'm never
heard
using
that out
it,
in the
but-
wild.
A groupie is often defined as a woman who may be seeking emotional or romantic / sexual attention from a musician or celebrity. Therefore, it's frequently used in a derogatory context because fucking patriarchy. The term is also used to describe fans of sports and admirers of public figures in other high-profile professions. We'll get to it.
Okay.
And since we do love our random recent web examples from Merriam-Webster, here was the good one. Pamela DeBar's breathlessly lewd memoir of her years as a groupie should come with a cover-up when taken to the beach.
Love that. I would
Breathlessly
absolutely buy a
lewd.
beach book that came with a cover up.
Oh,
Yeah.
That is some good marketing.
I know. So take note, Pamela. We'll also come back to Pamela. Here's a quote from a 2015 New Yorker article. The word groupie, once a pejorative, implying at its worst a kind of mindless, sycophantic allegiance to famous men, has since been reclaimed by the women it was intended to shame, although it remains unclear whether those women ever actually resisted the characterization in the first place. Pamela DeBar called
Sure.
her a 1987 memoir called I'm With the Band, Confessions of a Groupie. By the way, she wrote several books, but this one was definitely like her most popular, so I think I'm going to get it as a beach read
Oh.
for when I go to Key West in a couple weeks. And she writes frequently of fandom as an essentially symbiotic relationship in which intimacy and inspiration are exchanged freely, peaceably, like a joint being passed around at a party.
Oh, I love
mean,
that.
If assuming that the parameters are such that it's not like inherently exploitative, and we will get to it, but assuming those parameters are safe, it could be a symbiotic. It is a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the next line is, sex, of course, is not a parasitic transaction by default, And superannuated tropes about women needing to be coerced via nefarious forces into a kind of stunted submission are neither useful nor true. If in 1969 an adult woman wanted to bed rock stars like it was her job, fine, get it, girl.
Yeah. Exactly.
Wikipedia says the word groupie originated around 1965 to describe teenage girls or young women who sought to initiate sexual liaisons with rock musicians. The phenomenon was much older. Mary McCarthy had earlier described it in her novel The Company She Keeps, which came out in 1942.
Well,
It's also just not like a novel concept. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Humans are attracted to celebrity, and
Totally.
sex can be used as like a currency or a way to get attention.
Yes.
Obviously. Some sources have attributed the coining of the word to the Rolling Stones bassist Bill Wyman during
Bill
the group's
Hoban.
Bill Hoban during the group's 1965 Australian tour, but Wyman said, nay, he and his bandmates used other code words for the women on tour.
Oh,
Yeah.
great. Okay.
Maybe
Thanks for clearing that up.
initially it was a code word,
Yeah.
but it has since been decoded.
Yeah. It's a very popular, widely recognized term.
But like maybe at the very beginning, sure.
So the term was popularized in the late 60s with somewhat salacious articles from Rolling Stone magazine and Time magazine about groupies and sex. A book called Groupie and a documentary called Groupies were also released in 1969 and 1970. So the term by this point was definitely ingrained in pop culture.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a distinction between fans who just wanted a brief sexual encounter with a rock star and a groupie. A groupie, in contrast, is someone who traveled with the band for long periods of time, acting as a surrogate girlfriend, often taking care of the musician's wardrobe and social life. And these women were
Gross.
sometimes called road wives.
They took care of their wardrobe.
That's
is-
sounding a little bit more like Almost Famous.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think that's gross.
Yeah.
They just
No,
liked
I
to do
know.
it.
Or it's just deeply misogynist and was like, you're the woman, you know how to iron.
No, I don't think it was that. I think it was like assembling outfits.
Oh, like styling.
Like
Oh.
styling. Like the women actually, in a lot of times, had like some creative control over the
styling.
band, the aesthetics.
Okay. All right.
Cool.
I thought
It wasn't like laundry.
not that like one is more important than the other as a career, but I thought it was like, hey, while you're here, you can be my seamstress.
Right.
Seamstress for the band.
Mm.
I mean, well, maybe being a seamstress was someone's passion. I don't know.
Right.
And it probably was both, and it could have been both. But from the things that I read, it was more like they actually played a contributing role to
Creative role
the
in some of the decisions.
the styles. And we'll actually come back to that because I have some photographic evidence of that very thing.
Okay.
Cool.
So, fun fact, not all groupies were female. According to one source, there was at least one male groupie who was named Pleather, who followed around the band The Bangles, the 80s like girl
Fun.
band, and also Courtney Love.
Fun.
So, Pleather sounds fun.
Yeah.
There were quite a few groupies who were themselves kind of famous. One example is Barbara Cope, nicknamed the Butter Queen because she allegedly used Land O'Lakes butter as lubricant in sexual encounters with rock stars, from fucking Jimi Hendrix to Mick Jagger to Robert Plant to David Cassidy.
Yum.
Partridge Family, David Cassidy.
So she like had used butter as a lubricant, or like
She
used it.
Mm-hmm. She
It-
would
on the
bring
reg.
butter with her,
God bless.
like a pound
Okay.
of unsalted in her bag.
Hey.
I mean, you'd feel like if you were in a rush, margarine.
An
Would
oil-based,
Yeah, it would be oil
dairy-free.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe that doesn't have quite enough pizzazz.
Right.
flavor.
Doesn't margarine Barbara doesn't sound as good as
You're right.
butter queen
Not as
or butter
quippy.
Barbara.
Marge.
Marge.
Marge Barb.
Large Marge.
Oh my God.
She was a Marge Barb.
God bless her.
So she was really, really famous, like among all of these famous rock stars, and she has a bunch of mentions in famous rock songs.
Oh.
And has said that she has slept with about 2,000 musicians
Good for her.
when she was interviewed by Oprah.
Quite a catalog.
Wow.
Yes.
A lexicon.
What I was when she started as Barbara Butterqueen, was she
Barbara
of
Bush.
age? Was she an adult?
I think so.
Okay.
I didn't see anything that was
Saying
weird
otherwise.
about, yeah.
Okay.
Tragically, Barbara died in 2018 at the age of 67 in a house fire.
Oh my God.
So young.
Yeah. So another famous group of groupies was the all-female band and performance art group called the GTOs, which stood for Girls Together Outrageously, but it also kind of stood for Girls Together, a lot of other words that start with O, including orally,
Oh.
Boo.
whatever. So they were based in LA, and they were especially active on the Sunset Strip scene. They had one album, which was produced by Frank Zappa, called Permanent Damage. And actually, they all kind of met through Frank Zappa. Like, one of them was his child's nanny, the child named Moon Unit.
Oh.
Cool.
So, like, they all just kind of,
Hung out.
yeah. So clearly they were rock stars and artists themselves, but they had a lot of kind of groupie characteristics. One member of the band was Pamela DeBar,
Oh.
which we brought up several times,
Mm-hmm.
who was introduced to Frank Zappa through her cousin, whose stage name was Captain Beefheart.
Love.
Oh, yeah. That's so good.
Yeah, so that's her cousin. So she was introduced to Frank Zappa while she was still in high school. She was subsequently introduced to members of the Rolling Stones and became really fucking psyched about the LA music scene. When she graduated from high school in 1966, she took various jobs that would allow her to live near the Sunset Strip and take part in the rock music scene. She famously went on to form friendships with many of the great musical artists of that era and became romantically linked with various notable creatives. This is a fucking catalog, such as Mick Jagger, Jimmy Page, Keith Moon, Nick St. Nicholas, Noel Redding, Jim Morrison, Chris Hillman, Graham Parsons, Waylon Jennings, Brandon DeWild, Michael Richards, Woody Allen, and Don Johnson. I don't know who some of those people are, but I know enough to the context clues.
Yeah.
She lived a life. So
Yeah.
she's the one that wrote the book called I'm With the Band.
Cool.
That should
Yeah.
come with the cover up and that I'm definitely ordering. Okay.
I'm just surprised Woody Allen was romantically linked with an adult woman.
I know, right? Well, she was fresh out of high school.
Oof.
There are also groupies for other professional fields, such as space exploration.
Oh,
No.
are there?
Yeah.
What are
NASA
astronaut groupies called?
Yeah.
Blastronauts?
Blast. I don't know. Space cases? I have no idea.
Oh, that could work.
Maybe. There's not a name for them collectively, I think. But during the Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo space programs, women would hang out around the hotels of Clear Lake and Cocoa Beach collecting astronauts.
Yes.
Okay, this happens like during the Olympics too. Obviously,
Yeah.
the athletes all sleep with each other, but there are Olympian groupies as well.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
like
Try to like collect
famous
as many as they can.
collect medals. There's
Yeah.
like
Oh my God.
there's
yeah.
like famous condom booths like every
Yeah.
Olympics.
Oh my God. Well, also, you know that really bad but like really good movie called The Banger Sisters with Goldie Hawn
No.
and
Yes.
someone else.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
they were like aged groupies, and then they get back together. They were like formerly best friends, and they had that box of just dick pics.
Oh.
And they just went through them. They're like, Mick Jagger, like, you know, a
would
whole
be
box of
Quite the coffee
Polaroids
table
of
book.
famous dicks.
Polaroids. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Yes.
I
Okay,
gotta
well,
rewatch The Banger Sisters.
I need to watch it for the first time, apparently.
I know
It's good.
Goldie. Do
So
anything for Goldie.
Joan Russa, wife of Apollo 14 command module pilot Stu Russa, recalled, quote, "I was at a party one night in Houston. A woman standing behind me who had no idea who I was said, 'I've slept with every astronaut who's been to the moon.' And I said, 'Pardon me, but I don't think so.'"
Well, let's hope she was right.
Yeah, let's hope she was right. Hockey players.
Joni.
No, Joni. I just think that's funny. Space exploration groupies. That'd be what I'd be into.
It totally would.
I don't even like music.
Don't like
Hockey players have groupies too. The Canadians call them puck bunnies.
Oh.
It's defined as a young female hockey fan, especially one motivated more by a desire to meet the players than by an interest in hockey.
Yeah.
Sociological
puck buddies.
I
Yeah.
know. I thought so too.
Okay.
Sociological studies of the phenomenon in minor league hockey indicate that self-proclaimed puck bunnies are, quote, proud as punch to have sex with the players.
Proud as puck.
As it confers social status on them.
I mean,
Wow.
name any
Canada's a weird place.
public facing,
Person.
whatever, and they're
Yeah.
going to be people who are into that. People who are legitimately turned on by that fact.
By guys with missing teeth.
Ugh, and mullets.
To each their own.
And like really stinky, sweaty clothes.
Ugh,
Yeah.
the gym
They're
bags.
gym bags. Ugh. One more. Buckle bunnies are a well-known part of the world of rodeo.
Oh no.
Wow.
The term comes from a slang term for women, the bunnies, and the prize belt buckles awarded to the winners in a rodeo, which are highly sought by the bunnies. So they literally try to collect the buckles.
Gotta find
would
my
be
old
expensive.
stud Leroy.
Mm-hmm.
To have to replace your belt buckle after every rodeo.
Yeah, don't give it out at every rodeo.
No.
Yeah, don't bring your best.
According to one report, bunnies, quote, usually do not expect anything more than sex from the rodeo participants and vice versa.
Well, thank
There are
goodness, because I
also-
don't think the rodeo folks are making that much money.
No, probably not. There was also another article that was talking about these buckle bunnies, and it was it said something about how there's so much toxic masculinity, machismo in rodeo, especially that sex is the only form of nurturing that these guys will accept. So that's
Interesting.
Oh, the only physical contact they have with not a bull.
yeah.
Huh.
So there are also more generic terms like jersey puller, jersey tugger, jersey chaser.
Mm-hmm.
I got called a jersey chaser.
What?
Why? Because you go to your sister's hockey games back in the day?
No, when I was in college, I went to the only bar that I could get into before I was of age was this really fucking gross one where all the basketball players went to. And it had really low ceilings and all the basketball players were really tall. And I just like to grind with tall guys. I don't know.
Do you think they went there intentionally to feel even taller?
Probably. Or they were all underage just like I was.
Yeah.
Or that?
They were just tall 19-year-olds.
Uh-huh.
Tall 19-year-olds. There's black lights, strobe lights.
Yeah.
Really tall dudes.
It's a
I
good
miss a
time.
good
Loved
club
it.
with low ceilings.
It smelled so bad in there.
That's college.
Anyway, that's my segment. That's all I have to say
Wow.
about groupies.
Yeah. Deeply problematic term and concept. Although if everybody is adult and consenting and has agency,
Go
you
for
do
it.
you.
Like that article said, fuck, get it, girl. Whatever. You do
Right?
you.
Love
Anyway,
it.
Are we ready for my case?
Are you?
I'm breathing hard because I went up the stairs.
You need an elevator, girl. You're in danger,
know.
girl.
you need a dumb waiter so you can text Zach and be like, send up a bottle of wine.
Yes.
We really do. I would give up a few rooms to install a dumbwaiter.
A few rooms.
Good God. Good
Or you can just be
God.
like that. Is it like a sandwich or a burrito or something somewhere in Los Angeles when during COVID they had the shutdown? So the chef, she had to leave her restaurant. So now she just makes it in her apartment, and she has a bucket system.
Yeah.
Like someone like comes to her apartment and just hollers.
Yeah.
And she drops the
Down in
bucket.
the
They
bucket.
send up a $5 bill, and then she
Yep.
drops the sandwich down.
Yeah, install a basket and a rope.
Yeah. You don't need to
lot
sacrifice
cheaper.
a few rooms.
We'll drop it from the staircase.
Yeah.
Love it.
All right. So, on to my case. Just want to preface with the fact that we are going to be talking about statutory rape. And I'm going to be quoting from the individuals who, are in question and talking about their feelings about their experiences, and I am not condoning anything
of
that's
it.
going on.
Great.
Just wanted to preface it because
Got it.
These are primary sources. She is not condoning anything.
Right. Also, I just was really naive and didn't think that there would be so many underage quote unquote groupies. Like it was very much an underage system, and it's gross.
Okay.
So, in 1969, Life magazine published an article exploring the rise of so-called counterculture. Just the counterculture.
They use that term a lot in the 60s to talk about
Yeah.
goth and punk.
Hippies.
Because that comes
Right.
up in mine too. And hippies, yeah. Just not
So-
normal.
Right. Abnormals. And Life magazine quoted them as a lifestyle antithetical to almost every respect to that of conventional America.
Great.
Liberals.
Yeah.
And women.
The eyes narrow.
It's for women.
Counterculture for women.
Culture for women.
So the article went on to note that the counterculture has its sacraments in sex, drugs, and rock, which you might feel like is cut off, but that was the origin of the later, more popular phrase, sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Oh, that was that article.
It was that article that
Wow.
kind of almost fully coined that.
Cool.
And then this phrase would later become synonymous with the 1970s pop culture, sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Great.
Throughout the 70s and for decades to come, the phrase would be used to celebrate the hedonism and freedom from societal norms enjoyed by male
Everyone.
rock
Oh,
stars.
sorry.
Right.
Yes.
Men.
Right,
Men.
men. Just men.
Just men. Yes, all men that are rock stars. So it is not until more recently that with the rise of the Me Too movement that there has been widespread discussion about the complexities of the sex part of that phrase and the fact that the relationships with these rock stars were engaging in were primarily with underage girls known then as, quote, baby groupies.
Oh, ish.
Ugh.
So it was very much acknowledged that they were not age of consent.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yuck.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
And just be prepared if you are a music lover to
hate everyone.
to hate everyone.
When you
Like-
say baby groupies, you're not talking about young children.
I'm talking about the youngest I read was
13,
13.
14. Yeah.
Lot
Okay,
14.
5.
No, youngest
Okay.
I read post-pubescent
Or
girls.
during pubescent.
Not that one is better than the other, but there are different.
Baby, not
Connotations.
baby.
Yeah, okay.
young girls.
Okay, I just wanted to see where we're drawing our lines here.
So, it's so gross. These baby groupies were, in their own way, an indispensable part of the 1970s rock and roll culture, inspiring numerous iconic rock songs and shaping fashion trends. So they were totally a part of it. It's not that they were hangers on just
Right.
following the scene. They were creating the scene.
Oh, shit. I forgot to even show you the photograph of the GTOs.
Oh, yeah.
Can we go back briefly back to my segment? There's a photo on the drive.
Yes.
It's a color photograph. It says GTOs.
Oh, how cute.
Do you notice anything about any of these, the way these girls are dressed or have their makeup? Anything look familiar?
It's the
Everything?
same as everything
Kiss,
we did in
the
high
Kiss
school.
makeup?
Yeah. Okay. So her name was Miss Christine in the band.
Yeah.
And so they all did like fun makeup, and she had the black stars over her eyes.
Oh, Kiss
Yeah.
copied her?
Yes, Alice
Yeah.
Cooper copied her.
Oh my
Wow.
God.
Yeah. So
Fuck.
I feel like that was kind of relevant, and then I completely
That's
forgot
important.
to address that.
Yeah. So like that,
Mhm.
they are absolutely part of the creative process and impetus for this culture existing. They were important,
Yeah.
even though they were young and exploited.
Right.
Okay.
So their lifestyles would be romanticized for decades to come in books and movies such as Cameron Crowe's Almost Famous,
Mm-hmm.
which I have not seen since I think early college.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't remember most of it. I might go watch it. Love Kate Hudson.
Yeah.
My daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So, although there were numerous girls in the baby groupie scene, probably the most well-known was Sable Shields, aka Sable Star, known as the, quote, queen of the groupies, and most likely the inspiration for Penny Lane in Almost Famous.
Okay.
She's the queen of them. She was born in 1957 to a wealthy family in Los Angeles, and at the age of 11, began attending rock concerts with older friends.
Well,
Her parents seemed to be pretty laissez-faire.
this is like some Drew Barrymore shit.
Yeah. At 12 years old, Sable had her first sexual encounter with the adult man. I didn't look up his age, but an adult, Randy California,
Oh, God.
who was the guitarist for the band Spirit.
Okay.
So she's 12.
12.
So that is statutory rape.
Oh, yeah.
If not just like, depending on
Rape.
how old he is, just child rape.
Mm-hmm.
Yuck.
She soon became a regular at Whiskey A Go-Go, which was a well-known hangout of musicians visiting LA. Although many of her friends had already dropped out of high school, she continued attending to placate her parents, but her attendance was rather spotty.
Mm-hmm.
But she didn't like fully drop out of school at like 13, even though a lot of her friends did.
Mm-hmm.
Around this time, she began going by Sable Star and cultivating a persona to go along with her new name. She became known in the LA club scene for her distinctive curly blonde hair and outlandish fashion choices. So there are some.
Okay.
And for being like fucking 14.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's 14, but she just. Yeah, her hair is pretty epic.
Yeah, she looks great.
Are there photos?
Lots of photos.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, I love her hair.
Mm-hmm.
However, she would later say that she lacked confidence and, quote, always thought of herself as ugly, which prompted her to get a nose job at age 15, which I'm presuming her parents
Had to
approved
have-
of and paid for.
Yeah, well, and even just to get that procedure at that age, I think you'd have to have your parents
Right.
sign off on it.
Well,
That's
she
my
was
assumption.
hanging out with a lot people with a lot of
She definitely, yeah.
influence.
True.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I'm making the assumption about her parents. I don't know. She was pretty independent at this time, so she very well could have just found a way to do it on her own.
Mm-hmm.
She attracted the attention of numerous well-known rock stars and had sexual relationships, for better or for worse, with many of them, including Iggy Pop,
Mm-hmm.
Rod Stewart, and Alice Cooper. So serial offenders.
Mm-hmm.
Sable would later reflect on these early years as a groupie that she was, quote, nuts to begin with, and, quote, always liked getting into trouble. So she just kind of liked, up until, the end of her life, she just kind of liked the badass
Mm-hmm.
label of what she was doing. And she kind of played up the fact that, like, she was never going to follow the rules anyway.
Sure.
Her rebellious nature would attract the attention of her high school classmate, Lori Maddox, aka Lori Maddox, or Lori Lightning.
Okay.
So you might see her name spelled with 2 T's and an I or 2 D's and an O.
Got it.
So in Lori's words, Sable, quote, lived to fuck rock stars. She was so glamorous, totally one of a kind, wearing scarves for shirts and going topless without hesitation. My junior high school friend Queenie became friends with Sable and introduced me. I was 14. Sable was the same age. I felt completely in awe of her.
Wow.
So they're both 14, but one is just like a high schooler who has not been exposed to this, and the other one has been hanging out with rock stars
Right.
since she was 11.
For years already.
Right.
And is like super
she, like,
into it.
started and quit smoking by the time they met.
Yeah. It's-
Yeah.
Exactly. She'd already lived quite a bit. So Sable and Lori become friends. Lori's is like a Sable groupie.
Mm-hmm.
And they just become inseparable. Soon, Lori was spending most of her weekend nights with Sable at Whiskey A Go-Go, the Rainbow Bar and Grill, and Rodney Bingenheimer's English Disco.
Good God. What?
Ever heard of it?
No. We need it to reopen
Rodney?
yesterday. What a glamorous sounding place.
What makes a disco English?
Why any of it?
Bingenheimer.
Incredible. Like,
Rodney Bingen.
I love Rodney. I love you so much, but that's not the. It's like my brother-in-law's last name is Finkenauer. We wouldn't open like David Finkenauer's Bar and Grill. Like, some names just don't go on a marquee. I'm sorry. they
Right?
just don't.
Fudge.
It's a lot of extra letters.
It's so
David.
much. So much. David.
And you don't want to be like, oh, I heard about this really cool club. I can't remember the name of it, so we're not going to go.
I think it was like something Jingleheimer
Schmidt's
Schmidt.
Bar and Grill.
John Jacob Dingleheimer Schmidt.
Anglican Disco.
Anglican disco.
Oh, English. Sorry.
Anglican.
Different. Slightly different. Slightly
Oh my
different.
word.
Church of England Disco.
Wow.
Luther's Disco.
And other popular nightclubs on the Sunset Strip.
Rudy Luther's disco guarantee.
Dick Witham's English Disco.
Rudy Luther's. I can't.
Disco guarantee.
6 months no financing.
0% APR. Oh my God. Okay. So Lori, along with Sable Star, was soon involved in quote unquote sexual relationships with numerous rock stars, including, you're about to get really sad, Jimmy Page, Mick Jagger, and David Bowie.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sirs or neithers or neithers or boths.
The age of consent in California at the time was 18, and these girls were 14. And the musicians were all well aware that they were breaking the law and could be arrested for statutory rape. So they like had plans in place
Sure.
to make sure that they weren't gonna like get caught, even though it was a public, it wasn't even a secret.
Yeah.
It was very strange. However, the quote baby groupie scene became an accepted fact of the LA music scene, and there seemed to be almost no pushback in the larger culture to the idea of these adult men having sexual whatever with teenage girls. So it was just, everybody knew it. It wasn't even a secret,
Well,
even though it was super illegal.
yeah. Well, among the other things that were illegal at the time that people were doing, and it was like kind of cool, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm
that's true.
Clearly not defending this, but I think,
Right.
especially at
Drugs
this
and-
time, with the emergence of this counterculture,
Right.
like you kind of have these things that weren't accepted a few years ago, but then like the cool kids are like doing it. So
Right.
maybe a lot of people just didn't really think of it that critically.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think people just kind of accepted it as like they're rock stars. I look up to them. I idolize them.
And it's also super easy to just vilify these underage girls and be like, well, they're hanging around these rock stars in, unabashedly topless. Clearly they're asking for this, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So Sable, Lori, and other girls were even profiled in celebrity magazines and interviewed about their sexual encounters with rock stars, and they're like 14 and 15.
So it was way
super
public.
normalized. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Super public. In the press.
Mm-hmm.
And still throughout the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, media coverage of the baby groupies continued to be mostly positive, romanticizing the sexual freedoms of the time and describing girls like Sable and Lori as, quote, empowered and, quote, ahead of their time. And those were the positive spins in the press, but there were plenty of other mentions of them that were
not
less than
not glowing.
Yeah. So in some ways, the girls did achieve their own level of celebrity and influence in and of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
According to a fellow groupie, BB Buell, who is Liv Tyler's mother, which I didn't know, quote, every rock star that came to LA wanted to meet them. It wasn't the other way around. It was like, we've got to meet Sable Starr and Lori Maddox. There was a certain crowd you had to meet when you were in LA.
Wow.
So then they kind of became like gatekeepers for like lesser or just newer rock stars to like join the LA scene.
Uh-huh.
It's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And Lori would later recall that back then people went out of their way to stay on Sable's good side for fear of being ostracized from the LA scene.
Wow. She was the queen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But although the girls in many ways created and maintained the glamour of the social scene that the rock stars benefited from, reference to the baby groupies in their songs were often derogatory, such as in Led Zeppelin's Sick Again, supposedly written about Lori Maddox. Quote, one day you're gonna reach 16, painted lady in the city of lies. How fast you learn the downhill slide. Oh, how you play the game. Still don't know your name.
Ooh.
Yeah. I know. It's made me really sad because I really liked David Bowie and I liked Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
It's a bummer.
Yeah,
Well, don't meet your idols. Everyone is trash, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So for Sable, the appeal of groupie life seemed to fade after she, at 15,
She's jaded.
She's jaded at 15. Met 18-year-old Johnny Thunders of the New York Dolls. That age difference I can allow in this context.
Still illegal, probably.
Still illegal. But
Slightly less gross, I guess, in comparison.
I mean, yeah. I definitely had an 18-year-old boyfriend at 15.
Mm-hmm.
Who?
Maybe
Oh,
not 18.
I know who.
Whatever. Big age gaps. I was young for my grade. Some people are old for their grade. Whatever.
Okay.
So, she met 18-year-old Johnny Thunders of the New York Dolls, and this was the first rock star with whom she would have a long-term relationship, although it would be a rocky one, but they were like an actual couple.
They were an item.
Yeah. He gave her his class ring, the New York Dolls.
Oh,
He pinned her.
He pinned her.
So she agreed to follow Johnny home to New York, which prompted her parents to report her missing and several members of the New York Dolls entourage to be arrested for kidnapping.
Wow.
I mean, that's how the system should work.
Yeah, no, I mean,
I'd be right there with those parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where the fuck is my kid?
Yeah. So it feels like those parents were more involved than Sable's parents, who, like, at age 11, they were like, kind of nowhere to be seen. So Sable goes to New York with Johnny Thunders. She becomes pregnant. He proposes, but she rejected him and had an abortion instead. She would later describe their relationship as toxic and abusive and note that, quote, he tried to destroy me Oh my God. Sorry, guys. He tried to destroy my personality. After I was with him, I wasn't just Sable Star anymore. He really destroyed the Sable Star thing. So she was really upset that she had like lost her place and her scene and
And the
whole
identity
groupie
that
life.
she created for herself that she really liked.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So decades later in 1996, Iggy Pop, who you are no longer allowed to like.
I don't think
released
I
a-
ever did anyway.
I know, I don't know. It released a song called Look Away about his relationship with Sable, which begins with the lyrics, and this is gross, quote, I slept with Sable when she was 13. Her parents were too rich to do anything. Thing.
You don't need to try to make it rhyme.
Yeah.
No, I
She-
like it.
Should I do?
You're right, I do.
Commit.
Yes.
Commit.
I am. She rocketed her way around LA
Oh, God.
until a New York doll carried her away.
Well, that's not subtle at all.
No, it's just biographical.
Yes.
A confession to the authorities?
Yeah. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sable eventually, after she edited things with Thunders, moved to Las Vegas, where she worked as a card dealer at a casino.
Good for her.
Card, not car.
Yeah.
Card
Card.
dealer.
I heard her.
I heard car dealer.
Oh,
That's a you
She's
problem.
A car dealer. I'm not a card dealer. I'm a car
Car
dealer
dealer.
in Las Vegas on the Strip.
I'm a used card dealer.
My name's Sable. I'm 13, and I'm a used card dealer.
And I've
no.
lived a life.
Lived a
And
lot of
have I
life,
got
seen
some
a lot of
stories
shit.
for you.
Have you seen my Polaroids?
Oh,
I got a shoebox full of dick
full of
pics.
Polaroids.
So Sable Star really, her point of view is that she loved her life. Her relationship with Thunders was abusive, but she loved her life as a groupie and it was great. And that's her experience.
Mm-hmm.
Very sadly, she died young of brain cancer in 2009. She was just 51 years old. So I feel like she kind of had an accelerated life.
She
Yeah.
lived a lot of life.
Yeah. So Lori Maddox went on to find success in the fashion industry as a stylist and later as a buyer and part owner of a boutique in West Hollywood.
Good for her. Weeho.
Yeah. In 2015, she gave a lengthy interview to Thrillist about her years as a baby groupie, which was published under the title, and this is the title and her words and not mine, quote, I lost my virginity to David Bowie.
Okay.
I feel like I understand the pressures of the publishing industry, but maybe don't give it all away in the title.
Yeah.
So in the interview, Maddox describes how she first met Bowie in a nightclub when she was 14.
Woof.
She could tell that he was interested in her, but she dodged his sexual advances by pretending to be romantically attached to the club owner,
Okay.
which is fucking patriarchy in a sentence.
Right.
Like if you needed one sentence to hit every part of fucking patriarchy, it might be that one.
Yep.
She recalled that, quote, I had not yet turned 15 and he wanted to take me to his hotel room. I was still a virgin and terrified. I had probably kissed boys by that point, but I wasn't ready for David Bowie.
Yeah. Sex with an alien. A self-proclaimed alien.
Yeah, or just
Actual alien.
an adult man.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Quote,
How old was he at the time?
I'd have to do math, but we could figure it out. She was 14
David.
and she was born in 1957.
Well, when did they have sex and when did he die?
He
It
is
doesn't say
10
a
years
year.
older than her. He was born in
Okay.
47.
So he was 24.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not great.
Quote, next, so that was her first experience. She was scared. He was like pursuing her, asked her to go back to his hotel room, and she declined. She goes on to recount her second encounter with the rock star. Quote, Next time Bowie was in town, though, maybe 5 months later, I got a call at home from his bodyguard. A black guy named Stewie. He told me that David wanted to take me to dinner.
Okay.
Obviously, I had no homework that night.
Oh,
Fuck
no.
homework.
Oh.
I wasn't spending a lot of time at school anyway. I said that I would like to go, but that I wanted to bring my friend Sable. She was dying to fuck Bowie. I figured that she would sleep with him while I got to hang out and have fun. If we had sex with every person that we fantasized about having sex with at 14,
I'd be exhausted.
yeah, it'd be a different life. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would be Sally Sable.
Yeah.
Sable Star.
So I figured, this is Lori talking again, that she would sleep with him while I got to hang out and have fun. At the time, Sable and her sister Coral were both dating Iggy Pop, spending time at the home of Tony DeFries, then manager of David Bowie and Iggy, up in Laurel Canyon. People there were so high all the time, Quaaludes, heroin, whatever. In the limo ride to the Rainbow, Sable said, quote, "If you touch David, I will kill you." I didn't think she was kidding.
Ooh. Okay.
We got to the Beverly Hilton and all went up to Bowie's enormous suite. I found myself more and more fascinated by him. Again, this is all her perspective,
Right.
so not condoning. He was beautiful and clever and poised. I was incredibly turned on. Bowie excused himself and left us in this big living room with a white shag carpeting and floor-to-floor ceiling windows. Stewie, so the manager, brought out champagne and hash.
Oh.
We were getting stoned when all of a sudden the bedroom door opens and there is Bowie in his fucking beautiful red and orange and yellow kimono. He focused his famously two-colored eyes on me and said, "Lori, darling, can you come with me?"
Oh, that just gave me creepy chills.
I'm
Not like
picturing
sexy chills, like creepy chills.
the red, orange, yellow kimono gives me the Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, Buffalo Bill.
Yeah.
Sable looked like she wanted to murder me. He walked me through his bedroom and into the bathroom where he dropped his kimono. He got into the tub already filled with water and asked me to wash him.
Ugh.
Ew.
Which, didn't Harvey Weinstein do the same thing?
Yeah.
Isn't there
I don't
something
know.
about a bath?
Something like that. It's a power play for sure.
Yeah.
Mm.
He then escorted me to the bedroom, gently took off my clothes, and again, her words, not mine, de-virginized me.
Mhm.
Ugh. That must have been really scary.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's horrible, and you just can't look at these people the same way again, because, like,
No.
that's awful.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
When the interviewer asked several follow-up questions about whether, in retrospect, Lori felt that she had been exploited or taken advantage of, given the fact that she was a child and
Yeah.
Bowie was an adult, she responded that, quote, "I was an innocent girl, but the way it happened was so beautiful. I remember him looking like God and, oh, I can't even say this next part. I'm not going to say it. Not going to say it. It's a bad quote. Who wouldn't want to lose their virginity to David Bowie?" Upon further questioning about the Bowie encounter, she emphasized that, quote, "You need to understand that my life has never been normal. I've always been special. I always felt like the universe was taking care of me."
Okay. Or advantage, but
Yeah.
to each their own.
And isn't being taught that you're special, like in that way, kind
Yeah,
of a
it's
grooming
grooming.
tactic?
Yeah.
Yeah. In the same interview, she seems to reflect fondly on her time in a relationship with Jimmy Page, while also using some disturbing language to describe their first encounter, remembering that, quote, "That night we all wound up at the Rainbow where I got approached by Led Zeppelin's manager, Peter Grant. I felt like I was being kidnapped.
Oh,
Ooh,
that's not a good
feeling.
start.
Yeah.
I got taken into a room and there was Jimmy Page. He wore a wide-brimmed hat and held a cane.
Okay, well, don't ruin that fashion for the rest of us. I love
Two of
a
your
wide
favorite
brimmed hat,
things.
and I love
Yeah.
a cane.
Yeah.
But then, so like, listen to like it's her entire statement is so conflicted.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like criticizing. I'm like trying to unpack. Like, she is so conflicted.
I mean, trauma will do that.
Right. It's exactly. So she talks about being kidnapped and taken somewhere, and then things just like happening to her in a very passive way. And then this is the next sentence. It was perfect. He mesmerized me. I fell in love instantly.
Oh.
On the whole, Maddox repeatedly emphasizes in the interview that she felt her experience as a groupie was a positive one, explaining that, quote, I got to hang out with some of the most amazing, most beautiful, most charismatic men in the world. I went to concerts in limos with police escorts. Am I going to regret this? No.
I mean, maybe not.
Right?
I'm glad that she didn't completely feel the opposite way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if this is how she remembers her experience.
Yeah, if there's a silver lining to repeated statutory rape,
yeah,
I guess it's that she has fond memories of her experience.
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
It's not about passing judgment on her at all. It's about these men.
Correct.
Judge
She
these
is not
fucking
the
men.
one who is responsible for the burden of saying, no, I can't engage in this activity with you. That's their
Adult,
fucking
famous
responsibility.
man. Yeah.
Exactly. Like that's the thing is the power
We're
dynamic
not
is
here to
so staunch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Again, her perspective. Quote, she goes on to say, quote, I was protected rather than exploited. I felt alive, but you need to understand that I didn't think of myself as underage. Honey, who
No
does?
one does.
Exactly.
No underage person does.
I didn't think of myself as underage when I was 14.
Right. Oh, I definitely, thought I could have handled all this.
Right.
When I definitely could not have.
Yeah.
No.
So she goes on to say, I was a model, which is like, that's another industry where this was rampant. I was a model. I was in love. That time of my life was so much fun. It was a period in which everything seemed possible. Who cares what people said about me?
Mm-hmm.
This 2015 interview became a topic of intense discussion on the internet a few years later in the wake of David Bowie's death. I somehow missed all of this controversy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't see this either.
The revelation of sexual assault allegations against Harvey Weinstein and the subsequent Me Too movement. Numerous articles were published about David Bowie's legacy with titles such as, quote, Reconciling David Bowie's Genius with Rape, which I think is an excellent title. And, quote, David Bowie and Rock and Roll's Statutory Rape Problem, which is a much worse title. When Maddox was asked about whether the Me Too movement had changed her perspective at all on her encounters with Bowie, she replied that, quote, I never thought there was anything wrong with it, but maybe there was. I used to get letters telling me he was a pedophile, but I'd never think of him like that. He never abused me, ever. I don't think underage girls should sleep with guys. I wouldn't want this for anybody's daughter. My perspective is changing as I get older and more cynical. So even that statement is incredibly conflicted, and it's just really interesting. And there are parallels here to the discussion of like sex work, wherein I think we need to draw more distinctions within sex work because every situation is so different from the next. And so their like needs are going to be different. But there are just certain parallels here to that conflict of like, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I don't think I was exploited, but at the same time,
I wouldn't wish it on somebody else.
Yeah. Reflecting on the best way to understand Bowie's legacy and Maddox's own seemingly conflicted feelings on the matter, feminist blogger Amanda Marcotte, do you follow her? I think she's okay. I follow her. I hope she's not bad. Wrote, quote, even if the girl in question says she is consenting, the relationship is inherently exploitative at best. It is good that attitudes about this have changed and that we have taken statutory rape more seriously now. This all shows that the takeaway from hearing the story is that changing the culture works, which I think she makes a really powerful point there that, like, yes, individual people failed these girls,
Right.
but the society failed these girls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that is a far more interesting and important conversation to have than whether or not you personally are a righteous person because you listen to David Bowie records.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
That's
that's
a very
really
good
interesting.
point, yeah.
And I feel like we have come some ways in that it's just, this all sounds appalling to us and we can like put words to what's happening and why it's wrong.
Mhm.
Whereas back then they obviously couldn't.
Right.
That things are shifting and getting better, but that takes work and it can also backslide. So it's constant work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that's my case. I told you you'd be
Damn.
bummed out.
Wow.
It was good, though. It was really,
It is really good. And it's, you know, we need those reminders that, like, this is also one of the dangers of celebrity is that, like, celebrity as a concept in and of itself perpetuates society's ability to, like, overlook these
Crimes.
very traumatizing and, yeah, horrific crimes.
If one of these dudes had been a plumber, nothing wrong with plumbing, but like not a
no,
famous,
just a guy.
yeah, just a
Yeah.
dude or an accountant.
Yeah, this would not be.
This would just, it wouldn't be glamorized. It wouldn't be
No.
okay.
Yeah. And his
it would
relationship
just
with
be
the
a crime.
his
Yeah.
relationship with a 14-year-old was published in the newspapers.
Yeah, like it ain't no thing. Like just
He'd
in the
have
town
no career.
paper.
That's for goddamn sure.
Right.
It wouldn't be, you know, if it was a well-known secret in this plumber's town.
Right. Yeah. He wouldn't
He
be
wouldn't
given
be
more
working.
accolades or
Yeah.
money.
He wouldn't win world's best plumber at the
Yeah.
Plumber Grammy Awards.
Well, I don't know. It's very corrupt. It's gotten very corrupt.
That's true. The plumber Grammys are not what they
just
used
can't
to
trust
be.
the voting at all.
I don't watch them anymore. It's too disappointing.
Their board is made up of all electricians. It's bullshit.
It's bullshit.
And
I'm writing a
I knew
letter.
it. I knew it.
But
Wow.
anyway, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's
Yeah.
because these dudes were celebrities that there were no consequences and actually like a reverse reaction.
They have that clout, and like all the other things that they're doing are so like you were saying, counterculture, super cool, like this new world, this new wave, like everything they're doing has to be cool. Super easy to overlook that in the context of that culture at the time.
Even people that you look up to and admire and idolize can be dicks and can be criminals.
Because we're all human beings. Like,
So,
we
yeah.
fuck up. Oh, God.
Nice job.
Thank
Yuck.
you.
And
I
yep.
am sad.
Are you ready for my case?
Yes.
Is it gonna make me hate some artists that I previously liked?
No. I think Kenyon took care of that part for us. Cool. But obviously, we can't talk about Groupie Crimes without regaling ourselves with the tale of Sid and Nancy.
Oh, we
Oh,
are
yeah.
going to be bummed out.
I mean, yeah. I'm not going to go that hard on it, but, you know.
Okay.
It's arguably one of the most famous groupie crime stories of all time, and this was recommended by our fan picker. So I hope I do it justice and also... Wow.
Excuse me.
Gee, excuse me.
I gotta scream when I sneeze. It makes it so much better if you scream.
It hurts. Sometimes
I'm a
it hurts
screamer.
sometimes it hurts my throat
Good.
Oh,
to
yeah.
scream sneeze.
Yeah.
Okay.
Scream it out, baby.
He was a boy. She was a girl. Can I make it any more obvious?
Oh my God.
Is it going to be a whole nother Avril episode?
I wish. No, I only gave you the one. He was born.
Yours was too good.
I was so good. I'll never
hit
be
'em
topped.
all.
He was born John Simon Ritchie in 1957 and raised in London. And you know what that means.
Oh,
Geography?
yeah.
Geography.
Oh,
We haven't had
yes.
geography in a long time.
I haven't.
We haven't.
London is located south of Buntingford, east of Stoner, north of Slough Green,
Oh.
Soylent Green.
Soylent Green, and west of Foulness Island, where I will be summering from here on out.
Foulness Island.
I get no cell
That's
phone
the single
service
bathroom stall.
in Foulness Island. Yeah, that's the only one that's open.
It's the guest room you have to go in to fart when you have company over.
Foulness.
You just
Oh,
hope
please
there are
excuse
enough
me.
walls
I'm
to
visiting
muffle.
Foulness Island. I am making a little placard for my bathroom door that reads Foulness Island.
Yes.
Okay, let me wrap this up so I can get to work.
I'm writing it down so we don't forget.
Thank you. He endured a tumultuous upbringing due to his mother's substance use disorder. He did not have a relationship with his father, and his mother's addiction left him to fend for himself often.
Oof.
As a
Great
teenager,
start.
I know, not the best. As a teenager, he would find community on London's famous King's Road, which had become a symbol for mod and counterculture in the 1960s and 70s. Sid found camaraderie in the form of leather jackets, spiked hair, combat boots, and cigs.
Sounds familiar.
Classic, yeah.
And heroin,
Sounds like high
which
school.
doesn't sound quite as
No,
familiar.
Not as familiar for me.
Nah.
No.
No, slightly. He established himself as a punk musician
only
playing drums for Susie and the Banshees and Flowers of Romance. And in 1977, he was approached by the Sex Pistols to replace their bass player, even though, fun fact, he didn't know how to play the bass, but he figured it out.
Yeah.
That's punk for you.
I
They
mean,
just liked his look, his
Yeah.
vibe.
my
and he played
husband
the
plays
drums.
the bass, and I can't fucking hear the bass to save my fucking life on any
I know.
given song.
I would
It just
never be able to
disappears.
listen to two people who both did play the bass and didn't play the bass and know which one played the bass.
I've played I've dated two bass players. One always wanted me to listen for the bass.
Oh yeah.
The other didn't, and I'm dating the one who didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay?
Listen for the bass, babe. No, but you don't hear it right.
No, I can't. My ears don't register whatever you're doing.
I don't
Babe,
know.
I think it's unplugged.
I don't love you anymore, you know? You're just like not into music enough.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was a real line.
Oh, put it on a button and sell it, baby.
And here I am being like, I don't like music.
A bumper sticker.
I'm fine. Okay.
I don't love you anymore. You're not like into music enough.
Okay, you play for a cover band?
Part-time.
Part-time? I don't know
I was
how to
really-
respond.
It's not supportive, I guess. It's not supportive.
Just not supportive enough of his creative life.
Streams.
Well,
So
other people's creative life that he just copies on weekends sometimes.
appropriates. Okay. So on the other side of the world.
Am I wrong?
No.
Twist of the knife.
Of the truth knife. On the other side of the world, Nancy Spungen
Oh, no.
was living in an upper middle class life in Philadelphia, and it's not working for her.
Yeah.
Her refusal to conform and bucking of authority, coupled with a possible diagnosis of schizophrenia at age 15, landed her in psychiatric care, after which she became a runaway at 17 and made her way to New York City to carve out her own life.
Was it a possible diagnosis or
We'll
that
get
was
to
a
it
diagnosis?
in what I am about to say right now. I'm not sure of the accuracy of that diagnosis, but it popped up in a couple of articles. It's very certain that she was struggling with her mental health, even if we aren't entirely sure what diagnosis is most
She might
appropriate.
have just been it's the 70s. Like
It's the
she might
70s.
have
She's 15. Like getting a
Yeah.
schizophrenia diagnosis at
Yeah.
15 is
not likely.
not super likely.
So it was probably just that she was like acting out,
Right.
and maybe having outbursts.
Mhm.
And
It could have been anything. It could have been anxiety. It could have been.
It could have been
fucking
all
anything.
kinds of things.
Yeah.
It could have been schizophrenia. I don't know, but I can't say with confidence
likely.
that that's what it was.
I'm gonna say no.
Yeah. So she worked as an exotic dancer and fell in love with punk music and became well known as a groupie in punk circles. She made her way to London when she was 19 to follow her favorite band at the time, Dolls and the Heartbreakers.
Aw.
Little did she know that this trip would lead her straight into the arms of her Romeo, Sid Vicious. and a new dedication to the Sex Pistols.
And also a really good pet name for like a hamster.
Sid Vicious. That would be good. It also wasn't exactly love at first sight, which in another parallel to my previous dating days when my eyes first landed on the lead singer and then his wedding ring and then to the bass player.
Yeah.
Nancy initially went for Johnny Rotten. She was more of a lead singer gal, but he turned her down. Then her eyes fell upon Sid, the bass player, who also rejected her initially, but came around real quick. And the two officially started dating.
So when did he change his name, or was that just his stage name?
That was his stage name.
Yeah.
He went by Sid Vicious pretty much, I think, as soon as he started really hanging out on King's Road or whatever. And getting into the culture. Their romance was a drug-fueled whirlwind, and they quickly moved in together. They both struggled with heroin addiction, and their wild behavior was absolute gold for the tabloid press. Nancy was affectionately named, quote, nauseating Nancy.
Oh, that's nice.
And despite both of them being physically and verbally abusive to each other, Nancy was really the only one brutally smeared in the press. No shack there. Their codependency and volatile behavior was disturbing from the get-go. This is a quote from biography.com. One onlooker captured the unique nature of their bond, describing how Spungen once instructed Vicious to push a fawning groupie down the stairs at a club, and he did without a second thought, recalled the witness.
Oh my God.
Cool.
He was a knight in rusty armor.
Ew.
End quote. And as the Sex Pistols became more famous, the drug use escalated because obviously they just had more access to it. The couple was causing a rift in the band, who weren't exactly a harmonious group of individuals in the first place, but they hated Nancy and wanted her gone. They hated
she was
her
in the clubhouse.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yes, and they hated her, which is unfair because it took the both of them to engage in this behavior.
Right.
But what they really hated was the relationship and how fucked up Sid was, and he could barely play and was just a mess to be in a band with.
Yeah,
and
he
then
was an addict.
Yes,
And she was just, fueling
they were
it.
they were both psychologically in distress. They both suffered from substance use disorder, and they were having continuous volatile and violent outbursts. That would be a fucking nightmare to be around all the time. And nobody's gonna do shit about it because you're so deeply ingrained in the punk scene that that's just part of it.
Right.
So who is sitting you down and going, hey, this is really dangerous and alarming behavior. We need to get you some help. Nobody's fucking doing that. He looks cool.
Yeah, I was going to
They're
say
all over the press.
To a certain point, that behavior is actually probably helping their popularity.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, people they were the couple that everyone loved to hate and were super jealous of. They were all over the fucking tabloids all the time in the 70s. So they hated Nancy so much that their band manager, Malcolm McLaren, even tried to have her kidnapped and put on a plane back to New York City.
My God.
Yeah, but the couple were so inseparable and also bonkers that they couldn't get an opportunity to snatch her up without Sid there to defend her. So that plan
There's
fell
nothing
apart.
funny about that, but it's funny.
It is funny. I mean,
Well, it's cartoonish.
it's so cartoonish.
It's such an outrageous plan that it's okay.
Absurd.
It's the reverse Home Alone.
Yes.
Just putting her on a plane. Get the fuck out of England.
Kevin! So when the band set boundaries and barred her from joining them on their U.S. tour in 1978, Sid responded by lashing out violently at shows, even hitting an audience member over the head with his bass guitar in Dallas.
My God.
Which, a bass guitar is not
Heavy,
a fucking
it's heavy.
acoustic machine. That could have killed this person.
They're made
Thank
out of
God it didn't.
metal.
It would be like a shovel.
Yeah.
Equivalent to a shovel.
It's
it's
very,
heavy.
very bad. But this tour would be the end of the Sex Pistols altogether with a disastrous show in San Francisco on January 14th, 1978. So they'd barely been on tour for 2 weeks, and this tour in the U.S. was the end of the Sex Pistols because it was just too much.
Because of him.
Mostly because of him.
All of it. Yeah.
But I mean, I think that some groups do well traveling together and some just don't. And some just really don't. So this is from Rolling Stone. Quote, in America, what fucked it up was that they treated us like rock stars, says Sex Pistols guitarist Steve Jones in John Savage's book, England's Dreaming. They didn't know any different. They treat anyone who comes over the same way. So like they were this little band that nobody knew about in the US, but they come over and they play shows and everybody was treating them like they were fucking
They were stars.
David Bowie.
Giving them free drugs.
Yes. So he goes on to say at Winterland, which was
Winterland Ballroom?
Yeah.
In New Jersey?
No, there was a Winterland ballroom in San Francisco. This is where their last show is, but I'm sure there are multiples. So at Winterland I had a cold. Sid wasn't playing a single note and he wasn't even plugged in half the time. Which like
And nobody fucking
he's the bass
realized
player,
it.
so nobody noticed. There we said it. Listen for the bass though. Like just listen to the bass line. It's like so
listen
complex.
for it.
Oh, you're not listening right. So
It
me and
sounds
Paul
like
just Can you hear it? Can you hear it though? Do you hear it?
Just listen.
It's like a 3-note range.
Just listen.
And
It's really repetitive.
Anyway, okay.
Babe,
Babe,
listen.
I really miss him. So it says me and Paul just wanted to play.
The one that got away.
I kept cutting out. Strings breaking left, right, and center. The sound was absolutely atrocious, and Johnny Rotten's voice started to give out. The band closed with a cover of the Stooges' No Fun, and near the end, Rotten melts down. Quote, there's no fun in being alone, he says. This is no fun. It is no fun at all. He's saying this on stage to the audience.
Oh, no.
When the song ends, he famously asks the crowd, quote, ever get the feeling you've been cheated? And then drops the microphone and walks off stage. So
I'm doing that at our next live show.
Our Portland show.
I scared the shit
If
out of
only
that
you
guy.
folks knew, you'll have to wait for our book for the behind the scenes.
The show itself was
Phenomenal.
Wonderful.
Beautiful audience, gorgeous
Phenomenal.
audience.
pizza.
Oh.
Pizza, loved it. Actually.
Donuts.
Super fun.
Yeah.
Super fun show.
Fun.
Some of the staff,
Venue.
however, not so great.
We won't be back to that venue.
Yeah. Okay, so it says it was the last time the Sex Pistols would perform together until their reunion tour in 1996. So
Didn't
like,
know that happened.
yeah. Bye-bye.
I mean,
What
who
the
cares?
hell?
So the
Some
band went
things
back home.
are just over.
So bad. The band went back home to London, but Sid and Nancy made their way to New York City, holding up in the Chelsea Hotel under Sid's real name, John Simon Ritchie. Sid attempted a solo career, but it didn't take off. And the crushing rejection of trying
Hard to go solo as a
bass
punk
player.
bassist that can't play bass.
Yeah.
Real addicted to drugs.
I mean, he figured out how to play bass,
Right.
but
At the end of the day, it's still bass.
love it. The crushing rejection of trying to make it on his own, coupled with this toxic relationship, led to more drugs and a lot more intimate partner violence. One particular argument on and the night before, October 12th of 1978. So they'd like been on their own in New York City for only 9 months. And this would be their last argument. Sid awoke early that morning to find Nancy dead, like in a pool of her own blood on the bathroom floor of their Chelsea hotel room. She died from a knife wound to the abdomen that caused her to bleed out. The wound was consistent with a knife belonging to Sid, and he was soon arrested for her murder. According to his conflicting stories of that previous night's events, he admitted that the two had had an argument and that he stabbed her, but never intended to kill her. Then he changed his story shortly thereafter, saying she fell on the knife.
Oh.
Who has ever fallen on a knife?
And then he ran into my knife. He ran into my knife 10 times.
Yeah.
And changed the story again, so a third time, claiming he had no recollection of the evening in question, which honestly, like, that's the
previous
most
evening.
believable. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was pretty inebriated with drugs and alcohol at the time of his arrest, which rendered his recollection of events incredibly unreliable. So they couldn't, like, get a confession because he was, like, so fucked up that it wouldn't hold up in court, basically.
Right.
And the punk community had their theories surrounding Nancy's death, and I guess we would just not know until this thing goes to trial. So some argued that Nancy was killed in a robbery gone wrong, carried out by one of the many drug dealers who were coming in and out of the hotel room to sell them heroin. 2 dealers were confirmed to have entered and exited their room that night, and many believe that one of these dealers set Sid up to look like the murderer and took off with cash that was noticed missing from the hotel room.
I'm going to come in here and say that I knew almost nothing about this case, so I don't know the truth or how it ends. And also,
He did it.
okay.
I don't know, but it really seems like he did.
I mean, sounds.
given their history.
This is plausible, though. This robbery
But
thing
this
is
is
plausible.
actually like a fairly plausible alternate theory.
It
But
is.
I'm saying
With
that
the
as somebody that
missing
doesn't
money.
know.
Totally
the
plausible.
information.
No other evidence of a struggle or foul play was found, and the NYPD did not investigate this possibility. However, no other evidence of a struggle or foul play in the Chelsea hotel where they've just been holed up doing a
For
fuck
9
ton of
months.
heroin for 9
Right.
months.
Yeah, like how
the
could
place
you
was
even...
probably a wreck.
Yeah.
So, like,
Right.
what evidence?
Right.
It probably looked like a goddamn bomb went off.
Right.
Some reports also stated that though Sid owned the same knife that killed Nancy, this was not confirmed to be the murder weapon. It was like the same type of knife,
Okay.
but we don't know for sure because it's like the 70s.
Pre-luminol,
Right.
I guess.
If this was the murder weapon, it was just consistent with the wound.
Okay.
And really, all they can probably tell are like, it was or was not serrated. It was like 4 inches long or whatever.
Yeah, it's
Right.
not
They
as
can't take
precise as it
DNA
is
off of
today.
it. It's fucking 1977.
Yeah.
Like, they're not doing that shit. So these possibilities, like I said, would have to wait to be explored in court. Sid was beside himself in the wake of Nancy's death. While out on bail after his arrest, he attempted suicide by cutting himself with a broken light bulb. Ugh.
Ooh. Was
This
it just, but was it more of a cry for help, or was it like the closest weapon at hand?
I think it was the closest weapon at hand because he was not well.
Right.
You know, like I think that were he given enough time and enough and a proper weapon, he likely would have been successful.
Yeah.
This event would result in a psychiatric hospitalization at Bellevue Hospital, where he made another attempt at completing suicide by trying to jump from a window. This attempt was stopped by hospital staff who pulled him inside as he yelled, "I want to be with my Nancy."
Oh.
In an interview he gave before his trial, he didn't exactly confirm or deny his involvement in her murder, but said that her young death was an inevitability that he'd always expected. Quote, Nancy always said she'd die before she was 21.
I mean, that's just like something people say.
Yeah, live
so
fast,
don't
die
use
young.
it as an
Evidence.
excuse.
Right. Or,
Yeah.
an excuse. Mick Jagger of the Rolling Stones had provided a lawyer to represent Sid in court because he didn't have finances to afford one on his own. And that was like this quiet thing that like didn't come out in the press because like Mick Jagger didn't like
Advertise it that he
Yeah.
was funding the defense of a possible
Murderer.
murderer.
And Sid was instructed to keep a low profile in anticipation of his first court appearance. But Sid was gonna do Sid. And on December 9th, 1978, he attended a punk rock show where he punched Todd Smith, brother of Patti Smith, who basically ruled the New York City punk scene at the time and was known as the punk poet laureate, punched her brother right in the face. But like, it's at a punk show, but still, it's like, dude, you're about to go to trial for murder.
Yeah.
Like, lock it up.
I also feel like a lot of people get punched in the face at a punk show.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But a lot of those people were probably not out on bail awaiting trial for murder.
I'm
Right.
not saying it was smart.
Right. I've been punched
Keep a
in the
low
face at a rack show.
profile. Nah, I'm gonna punch Patti Smith's
His
brother in
brother.
the face.
I've been punched in the back at a show before.
Who
It hurt
hasn't?
by a man.
Duh.
That's horrible.
Well, it was our friend Puck's show.
Oh.
So like kind of screamo, really metally rock sort of. And
a dude just punched you?
well, I didn't
Screamo,
realize there was
metally
like
rock.
a mosh pit right behind
Yeah,
me.
you got pitted accidentally.
Yeah.
Yeah. It hurt though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I went and stood in the back after that.
So
Lucy, I don't care for music.
I was supporting my friend who also happened to be a bass player in that band.
screamy. Yeah, but he's actually talented.
We need to stop hanging out with bass players.
I'm married to one.
I
Y'all have
know.
a problem.
I know, we do have a problem.
I'm good.
You're good.
I
got
stay
strong
far,
fingers.
I stay far away from musicians.
Yeah, our boys know they're picking.
Ew.
So, this assault would land him in Rikers for 55 days. He was released on February 1st, 1979, and placed in the custody of his former Sex Pistols manager, Malcolm McLaren. You know, the guy who later admitted to trying to kidnap Nancy.
Cool.
It's very dysfunctional.
What a family. The night of his release, Sid decided to celebrate his freedom with a night of drugs and alcohol after 55 days detoxing in Rikers.
Oh no.
Yep.
Oh
And
no.
as members of the New York City punk scene came and went, Sid kept a steady stream of alcohol and heroin flowing through him and was pronounced dead as a result of heroin overdose on February 2nd. As the only solid suspect in Nancy's murder, his death halted the investigation and the case was dismissed without a posthumous conviction of Sid. So we don't officially know on any kind of record who is responsible for Nancy's death, though it's most likely
Sid Vicious.
Sid Vicious. And frankly, the escalation of his behavior, his drug use, his
Previous
depression,
abuse.
after killing your partner who, yes, your relationship was highly, highly violent and volatile. Like there can still be love there. It's not always healthy, but like imagine
the
killing
fact that
someone.
he felt that remorse,
Right. That's what I mean. I think
so intensely.
I think it fucked him up because he
contributes
knew
to
he
his
did
guilt.
it. Mm-hmm. And then
Yeah.
he just like was so horrified by what he'd done that he was trying to like drink and
escape.
shoot it away, basically. Yeah.
Or
And he-
kill himself.
Well, right. Yeah. He literally did try to complete suicide twice, at least as far as we know in that time. So I don't know. All signs point to him, in my opinion. It's like usually the most likely thing is the most likely thing.
Yeah.
Although, like Kenyon said, that the theory of the like drug deal / robbery gone wrong,
That makes
totally
absolute
plausible.
sense also.
Also very possible, and also he bears guilt for that if that is what happened, because he's the one. I mean, they're both addicts and users, but he was the one probably in charge of acquiring drugs. And
Yeah, and there were some reports that like while Nancy did recreationally use drugs before she was with Sid, she hadn't started using heroin until Sid like introduced her to heroin. I don't know. I mean, there's like we can pass blame around forever. I think he stabbed her in the stomach. That's just what I think.
I think that's number one most likely, and number two most likely drug deal gone wrong, and he would still bear responsibility for that, in my opinion.
Anyway, that's
Yeah.
my case.
Well,
Thanks,
good
Blortney.
job. Thanks, Blortney boy. I was surprised. I just didn't. You know, you hear about Sid and Nancy, and you think you know what they're about. I kind
Right.
of just pictured them as like
I want to
the
watch
British
the movie
punk
now.
Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah.
I heard a reference to them in a song recently, and
You're my
didn't know
butterfly,
anything
sugar,
about him either.
baby.
And I Googled them. I looked at their Wikipedia page. So probably in the last 6 months, I've read up on what actually happened because I didn't know either. I just
Yeah.
knew they were like a volatile punk couple.
Right.
I want,
Yeah,
and
that's all I
the like
knew.
the photos of them are so fucking iconic. I put a bunch of
Yeah.
them on the drive that'll be on the
Yeah.
blog, but the
It was from that song. You're my
Mhm.
butterfly, sugar,
Sugar,
baby.
baby.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yes.
you like Sid and Nancy.
Yeah.
So sexy, almost evil. Talking about butterflies in my head. I used to think that happy endings were only in the books I read. But you made me feel alive when I was almost dead. You feel that empty space with the love I used to chase. I was like,
Special
can't get
thanks
better
this
than
week
that.
to Courtney Roy.
So butterfly, here's a song.
And it's in with a kiss and a thank you, miss.
Amanda's a well, who sang that butterfly song? Groupie.
Fuck.
It's from the Orange County soundtrack.
Yeah, exactly. The movie Orange County, which that is what I need to watch
Butterflies in my
again.
head. Okay, what is it?
Who sings that? Well, the second you say it, I'm
They
gonna,
they remixed it like 4 years ago, and I felt like a grandmother.
Crazy Town.
Crazy Town. Good
Somebody
God.
remixed it, and it the remix came on, and or they sampled it, and then it came on the radio, and I screamed, and then it wasn't that song. God
bless.
You must have been so embarrassed.
Yeah. Just
All right.
me and my Uber driver.
Just the two of us.
Yikes.
We can make it if we try. Just the two of us.
All right. We will see you next week.
It's the end of the episode.
Yes.
That's it.
Bye.